I'm driving, so I can't be trying to put the anyway. I want to talk about Halloween. So I had um I had a really um I had a really interesting dream, and it's a dream of warning. And I wanted to discuss that. So a couple of days ago, I was telling my god sister about this, and she reminded me of it. And she said another person had a dream, and I said, "Oh well, let me hurry up and tell everybody the dream that I had." So in the dream, I saw children, and it was at nighttime. But this is the kicker: it was in a graveyard. It was at nighttime. I can see the silhouette of children because it was just so dark. I was observing, I was looking, and I saw that these children had black pumpkins. They weren't like the pump. You know how kids be going trick or treating, and the candy is put inside of like those little pumpkins, them orange looking pumpkins. These weren't orange, they were black. And I noticed that they were going into a graveyard. And what can I say from that? Why does it look like something coming from that building right there? But anywho, they were going into what the freak is that? Hold on, y'all. Like, do y'all see what that, like, do y'all see? Oh, I have to turn it around. What is that? Do y'all see that, like, that cloud over that building, the way it looks? I don't know. It could be because the air or whatever, but it just looks so steep. About an MGM. But y'all see, like, the top of that building? Like, what is that? Don't it look like a black, like some, I don't know if it's because it's lights around it or whatever, but don't it look like a black cloud? And it's nighttime. Or maybe it could be because of the clouds or whatever like that. Look at that. Y'all see it? Like, I've never seen it like that before. It could be because of the clouds. So I'm not gonna freak out too much. You know, God got me regardless. But anyway, so let me get back to it. Let me get back to it because she just reminded me. She was like, Mona, remember you was telling me about that dream you had? So let me tell you about the dream. Okay, let me get back to what I was saying. So in the dream, I was observing, like I knew I was at a distance, but I felt like where I was at, it was a graveyard. And I saw that it was children. And they were laughing, or it would seems to be children, and they all had little pumpkins, like those little pumpkins where you would put those you would put candy in, but they were black. They were black, okay? And the parents were behind them while these children were running into a graveyard. They were running into the graveyard, and I felt like in my dream I knew it had something to do with the spirits, or they were doing something that was not of God, and the parents were behind them. So I was trying to, like, really trying to understand. First of all, anything that has black, it is evil. Anything where a dream where it is basically charcoal, black, dark, shadow, it's evil. It is absolutely, utterly evil. But what I couldn't understand was the pumpkins, like those things, like that's what really stood out, was what they were doing, and what they had was pure evil. And the parents were right behind them while these kids were going off to the graveyard. So I don't know. I don't celebrate Halloween. I just don't. I don't celebrate Halloween with my daughter. I try my hardest to not even mention Halloween to my daughter. But I'm going to tell you what I've been noticing is that a lot of these shows, even learning programs, it promotes Halloween. My daughter didn't know anything about Halloween until she goes to school, or she looks at a so-called learning program that's promoting Halloween, in which I don't want her to know about it. But they're like, oh, even yesterday, she was watching Super Readers or something, and one of the little kids in the program, in a cartoon, was saying, I'm afraid, I don't want to go out for Halloween, I'm afraid of the costumes. And they were like, don't be afraid. And I'm like, they're pushing this, they're freaking pushing this, when us as adults and as parents, we don't want our children to be involved. Because now in 2022, you got witches and warlocks, and you got some evil people that's all about that sacrifice. And y'all know they got them pills, and what's the new thing that people like touching tissue, and they've been fainting and dying and going into convulsions. These people are like, they're evil out here. You can't be knocking at somebody's random door and they look just as nice and sweet and giving you something that can hurt your daggone child. Plus, I should never understand it. Like, I mean, the levels of the scare tactics that they're putting on their porches, from freaking skeletons that's daggone 100 feet tall, and banshees and witches that's hanging from the trees, and you're just going through all of that to get some candy to give to your kid. Yeah, this is not this is not the time to be playing those games. And I know some people don't want to hear it, because you probably say, well, I celebrated with my kids, I dressed up. Because I know people that be like, I'm going somewhere for Halloween, I'm dressing up. I'm gonna tell you right now, the evil that is lurking around. The Bible tells us that, number one, I know the scripture talks about going out at nighttime, not to go out at nighttime. And the reason why is because evil lurks in the dark. And it's so true, because if you notice, the most crime that is committed is at nighttime. It's not during the daytime. It's not during the daytime. So anyway, so let me get back to the dream. So in the dream, I saw these children, and they were going into a graveyard, and I had a knowing that they were going in and doing something with spirits. And I pondered on that dream, because the entire dream, it was black. It was at nighttime. And that's another thing too. Halloween, knocking at people's doors, is at nighttime. Now, I remember back in my day, you know, the times were different. But even back then, people were putting stuff in candies, and things were happening at nighttime. But this was very, very different. And the pumpkins that these kids were holding, like pumpkin buckets, they were choco black. I woke up from the dream. Oh, I remember, I just distinctly remember that it was parents that were going behind the children. Like they were allowing, like they were walking behind them. And the only thing that I can really get is that it's you don't understand the meaning behind and the spiritual side of it, but it's pure evil. And also on Halloween, you got to be very careful, because in the dream I had a knowing that it's representing the parents of today that are basically right behind their children while they're doing these acts, like they're promoting their children to do it. Although these children were laughing, it was evil, because they were going into a graveyard. They were going into a graveyard, and the parents were allowing them to go into a graveyard. And I had a knowing that the black pumpkins that they were holding, like those little black pumpkins, they weren't like your typical looking orange little pumpkin head to put um candy, and it was black. And the reason why I know it was evil is because in a dream, when you see black, it stands for evil. And it was showing me that Halloween is an evil, it is an evil tradition, it is an evil ritual, it is evil. And what the children are going into, they're going into grave sites with the dead. They are celebrating decease and celebrating unclean spirits. And the parents are behind them on this, and it is evil. So that was what the dream was about. And that's what it stands for, just that. So for Halloween, me and mine, we're going to be serving the Lord. I am not going to be subjecting my daughter to any of that nonsense, any of it. And sometimes I be feeling like that because my daughter gonna feel like she's kind of left out because she's not participating. People gonna show up with certain ABCs in the third, but I'm like, she is not going to be a part of that. I also feel like too that people have been lacing things to a whole nother level that we don't know. You just got to protect your children. So take it as a warning. This was a dream I saw, and I literally had to go on Google, and I had to look up black pumpkins, and trying to understand, and kids in graveyards trick-or-treating. And I was trying to understand, like, what in the world was that? And it dawned on to me, it's because you're celebrating death, and you are celebrating, like, the reaper, the bones, and the pumpkin itself, of what it represents, is very dark. So that was a dream that the Lord showed me, and I observed it. I literally saw at night. I mean, it was so dark. It was so dark that I knew it was like seeing a silhouette of a silhouette. But you knew, I had a knowing, this is a graveyard. And I saw children, small children, and I heard laughter, like a little girl's laughter, and she's running into a graveyard. And I saw all of these children with little pumpkins that they were holding. And then I saw, when they were running into the graveyard, into the grave, I saw the parents. I knew it was a man that was a father, and he had jeans on, and he was going right behind, and it was other parents too that were going behind their children. You are going behind your children while your children are going into graveyards. And I had a knowing that they were messing with spirits. These children weren't going after candy. It was something about the spirits. I had a knowing, and I knew it was evil. And that's what I was shown. So I needed to share that dream over a week ago. And I'm sorry that I didn't put that dream out, but now I have a better understanding and a revelation about it because of the whole thing. I didn't understand why am I seeing kids with black pumpkins, and the reason why I'm seeing that is because what it represents, what they were holding, those bags. How they get their little bag to put candy in, and you know how sometimes you see the little pumpkin, the orange pumpkin with the handle. It was completely choco black as black as can be. It was like a choco dark black. So that lets me know the level of evil that is. And so God is showing me that pumpkin that you use to represent Halloween, it is evil. It's evil. I don't care if you calling it something else. It is evil, and for some odd reason, this time is different. I mean, it's the same old evil, but I've never had a warning dream like that. I've never had a warning to show me these children, and I'm just looking like these kids are going in a graveyard. I knew that they were going into the graveyard. And that was the most scary part about it, is that we know the graveyard is not the living. So you're going into something that's not the living, and you are messing with familiar spirits. That's why you see these huge banshees on people's yards, and excuse me, y'all. And you see these things that's trying to scare you. You're like, ooh, it's so spooky. But I'm gonna tell you something. When people start messing around, when you got people that's messing around with things that are forbidden, they are opening gates and letting things out. This is not the time to be playing these games in 2022 and forth on, because you don't know what's out the gate. We're gonna be in the house. We not doing all of that. Nope. We not even thinking about all of that. And my daughter, she's very sensitive to certain things that she'll say in a quick heartbeat. This is not good. This is not good. She couldn't even watch Sonic the Hedgehog. When she saw that daggone the ocean drop, she was like, oh, this is not good. Turn into my Jesus cartoons. I said, oh, I'm sorry, sweets. You know, so you got to, all that werewolf blood and nope. Y'all don't care. Y'all can say y'all been doing that for years, but I'm gonna tell you something. You've been warned. I'm trying to tell you some real stuff. What I saw was dark black to the black core black, and to think, and I said to myself, like, when I woke up from the dream, I'm like, is this a thing? Like, people are really having their children go into graveyards? I mean, when you go into graveyards, you can't go trick-or-treating. But the thing that I knew is that they were doing something with spirits. I don't know if they were trying to capture spirits, but I knew they were doing something with spirits. It's not candy. It was with spirits. It was with spirits. Some of these people are sick out here. They are sick. They'll look you in your face and smile and be like, y'all be safe out there. And the whole time they didn't put something. Now, if y'all done seen them kids that go to school and somebody that ate some gummies, come to find out mama's boyfriend and laced it up with some daggone marijuana, and the baby then sick and died, or some more stuff, you better be freaking careful. I wouldn't do it. Don't do it. I'm gonna tell you right now, don't do it. You've been warned. You sitting there, oh, ain't nothing wrong with it. You've been warned. Because I don't want nobody coming back moaning. You've been warned. You've been warned. We are not to celebrate things that are not of God. We are not to celebrate that. And when I was young, I did trick-or-treating. We had a great time going out there getting candy to pay for with the cavities and stuff later on, you know, because we was just staying up eating candy. We had candy for months. When we went trick-or-treating, we had freaking, what are those things called? We didn't have bags and buckets. We had pillowcases. I remember when I was a little girl, my father put all them pillows. Because you know, back then we ain't had money like that to get costumes. But he put pillows and stuff on me and my sister. Like, we had them underneath our shirts in the back. And then I remember him taking that shoe polish and making mustaches and beard and stuff. And we went out there and we went trick-or-treating. We was. But I had no idea what it was all about. I just knew you knocked at the door and you said trick or treat. But in this day and time, you don't knock on people's doors. In this day and time, people got ring doorbells and be like, hey, can I help you? In this day and time, you just can't, you can't leave your doors unlocked. In this day and time, somebody give you something, you're not going to be like, well, thank you, and start eating. You be like, what is it? So most people ain't knocking at people's doors and stuff like that. And some people, they are so, like, they will not sleep unless they know they did something bad to somebody. Just like that nurse in the UK, all them babies dying in her midst, and she had the face of look like an angel, and the whole time she was murdering them babies. And you would think that somebody that looked so sweet would be so innocent, and she was evil to the core. So my thing is this: is you better know what you're dealing with in this dark, because there are unclean spirits that are walking amongst us, familiar spirits that are out here, and people been opening things that they don't even know how to close. And that's why you had all them kids sitting up there doing these daggone what are them things when they was doing Charlie or something and messing around, and the next thing you know they possessed, and now they gotta call in a priest or somebody that know how to cast out a demon because you done did some things. I saw them black pumpkins. I saw them children going into the graveyard, and I saw the parents that were right behind them, and every last one of them were silhouette black, but what really God zeroed me in on was the pumpkins that they were holding. And I knew that I remember seeing like a graveyard stone, like you know how you see like one of them old graveyards. Yeah. I'm sorry, y'all, but this is the place that I'm passing by that the lady died. I gotta pass this thing. Oh, that's another thing too. I called the sheriff's office this morning and went off on the phone. I also called the safety regulation, road regulation, and I went off on them because they knew all of the fatalities and the deaths that has happened on this road. I told them they better put a speeding camera out here and start hitting people up $500 to $1,000 a pop, and I don't care, because you shouldn't be speeding. And I said that'll slow some folks down. And I told them too, I don't care if you got to put speed bumps out on this road as high as a daggone mountain. I don't want to see another car crash, another fatality that could have been avoided. Because anyway, sorry to change the subject, but anywho, so that was the dream that I had. So y'all, take heed to it. Be very careful. Now it's not even, people are petty out here. Your children are your jewels. You got to be very careful what you expose them to. They cannot be exposed to things that are evil, and that are ungodly and unclean and just wrong. They need to be exposed to positive, homely, godly things. You see what I'm saying? Don't expose them to death. Don't. So, Oh, she usually be staying out there with her little flashlight. But yeah, that was my dream. What do you think it means, Mona? I just told y'all. Halloween is it is evil. It is dealing with spirits, unclean spirits. And the parents are pushing their children to do ungodly things. Going into that graveyard. The graveyard is not of the living. It's dead. It is dead. And I knew what they were doing was was trying to conjure up unclean spirits or do something with spirits. So that is the dream that I had. I hope this speaks to you and your household, but you need to be safe at this particular time. This is not the time to be messing around. Anyway, y'all have a blessed night tonight. Take care of your families. Y'all be prayed up. Be prayed up. And I wouldn't do Halloween. I'm not doing Halloween. Ain't no shame in my game. I didn't do it last year. I didn't do it the year before last. And that's another thing too. I remember when Symphony was young, we dressed her up as a little Tigger. I remember her little belly was huge. And then after that she was like a little Halloween is about spooky tales and screams, and it's evil. It is pure evil. It is celebrating Satan. It is celebrating death. It's celebrating uncleanness. It's celebrating horror. It is not light, and it's celebrating darkness. And what I'm saying is that nowadays you got witches and warlocks and folks that are in witchcraft, and they are doing crazy things on Halloween. They are conjuring up unclean spirits. They are doing crazy things, and you cannot expose your children to stuff like that. And then you wonder why your child is never the same anymore, because you didn't wait and took them out in the dark, and you don't know what's lurking around, and you don't know what's in the candy. You don't know who's opening up the door. So I say this and as a warning, because when God shows me, he shows me, like, I know red, it's a no. It's a warning. Black, when I saw all black, he showed me it's evil. It is pure evil. It is. So some of y'all may be disappointed, but you're going to have to pick and choose, You can't be lukewarm on this thing. Because I ain't gonna lie, because I was like, dang, I wonder, how my daughter gonna feel when she go to school, whoop, 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 and, because they gonna be doing, you know what I'm saying? But I'm like, she's not going to, we're not doing no Halloween trick-or-treating, knocking at doors and stuff. And what I usually do when I come home, I turn my lights out. Turn the lights out, and that's it, and that's all. And kids be knocking at people that you don't know who people are. You don't know who people are. There are people when you go and searching where you see pedophiles located at. They could be in your freaking neighborhood giving your kids some daggone candy. But regardless of that, the simple fact is that what Halloween represents is evil. And if you want to subject your children to that, because it's just fun to put on a costume, no, you need to know what's going on. You need to know who up there doing seance and stuff like that, and sacrificing people and killing people, or you know what I'm saying? Like, people, there are sick fools out here. Do not mix with stuff like that. This is not the time. This is 2022. If you see this, then you already know how they rocking on that day. So y'all just be